What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review Podcast. Rob from Punk Odds is finally back. He has gotten moved, settled in a little bit. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of changes to your background over the near, I don't know what you're going to end up doing, but I imagine it'll change a little aesthetically over the next couple of months. But dude, I am so glad to have you back on, man. I feel like this has been like, what, 2.5 weeks? We planned on it to be in a week. And then, life happens, and so we had to push it back. Dude, it feels like it's been 6 months since I've talked to you.
Well, we've pushed it back so many times, too, from other scheduled dates. So it feels like it's been even longer than it has. And then now I'm obviously reporting to you from a halfway house, clearly, because there's nothing on the walls here.
Bro, for real. Well, hopefully we can get back on some kind of schedule in the near future. I'm not pressing the issue. I don't want to make it a stressful thing for either of us. I'm in the process of moving as well. This is supposed to be a good time. So, But yeah, dude, since I've talked to you, I've done a lot of stuff, man. I've had a couple of really good interviews. I went to a couple of good shows, and the channel's kind of blowing up, dude. We're about to hit 500 already. It's crazy, bro. We're already at over 1,000 viewed hours, which is, it's bananas. We're I don't even know how it happened. It just kind of, shout out to Adam from CMI. That's pretty much the crux of when things started going crazy. So I'm also talking to John from Empire Down tonight at 8 o'clock. So this is my third podcast in one day. I'll be doing 3 in a day. I'm pretty excited to do it though. This is my favorite thing to do. So
show off.
Dude, it's just so much fun, man. This is my day off of work. So most days I'm I'm going to go bartend for 10 hours and be exhausted, too tired to even make a reaction video when I get home. But on a day like today, I'm happy to just knock a bunch of this stuff out. So today's episode is very specific. A lot of times when I have a musical guest on, we're just talking, getting to know people, all right? But this is my friend, so we already got to know each other. So now we're talking about specific albums, specific topics in punk rock and punk adjacent. And today is a day for you to get to talk about something you love. We're talking about No Use for a Name for the second episode in a row together for a specific reason. We wanted to talk specifically about More Betterness. Where does it rank amongst their albums? Where does it rank amongst pop punk, melodic hardcore, whatever you want to call it? Where does it rank amongst 90s skate punk stuff? That's about where I feel like it fits in the skate punk genre. I think melodic hardcore is something that Fat Mike just wants to say to not sound lame, and it's silly because it's all skate punk to me. In my personal opinion, I'm probably gonna get flack for that. But I listened to that album about 6 more times since we talked about it last.
Oh wow.
I did. I put it on quite a bit. I wanted to get a little bit more familiar with it. My memory is really bad, so I listened to it today, and I'm not going to be able to recall lyrics very much. And until you start talking about it, I might be able to go, oh yeah, that. But I want you to tell me, what does this album mean to you? You've mentioned it multiple times. It's not something that you haven't ever talked about. You've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, I have, and it's funny because I don't know that any one hardcore No Use for a Name fan quite has it like I do. Of in the prime of that prime 4 albums, I have it as a clear number 1. I think a lot of people have it more towards the bottom of that list because it's unique amongst those 4 as well. Because I think More Betterness and Leche are more truer to the skate punk origin, so that is more closer to Propaganda than what this is.
Okay.
And at the same time, Hard Rock Bottom is closer to the pop punk side of things, of a more genuine way than the Fat Mike. Where this thing right here, More Betterness, it's the more melancholy of the 4. It's at a little bit different pace and tempo. The songs perhaps a little less fun than some of the things you have on the other albums. It's definitely a vibe. I just personally connect with this album a lot more than I do with the other 3. Not that I don't with the other 3, but this is the one that I'm most on a full listen through basis of, whereas the other ones, I can kind of pick and choose and skip around.
We all have that. I have that on Rancid Records. The ones I like are the ones that not a lot of people also think are the best. Troublemakers gotten to where it's way up there for me. It all depends on when you hear it. It doesn't matter because art is super subjective, and we all know that. That's something we've heard our whole lives. Art is subjective, but when you hear a punk rock record like Alkaline Trio, I remember exactly where I was the first time that I heard them because it was so impactful. This is my introduction to No Use for a Name. So I'm hearing it from a 41-year-old standpoint, or let's say 40. I've been listening to them for just a little bit. So let's say a 40-year-old perspective. I've already got kids. I've already got a wife. I've been married. I've already been on drugs and sober. So like I've already been through all this stuff that whenever this album came out, had I heard it, I would have probably thought way different about it. And so I have a very different opinion than yours. I'm not going to say that it's necessarily right or wrong. I think that doesn't, neither is yours. It's just our opinion on it. I'll be honest, man. I listened to it and I thought, man, what is it that he likes so much about this record? And I did figure out, like, I mean, you've told me basically it's because you just resonated with it, the lyrics when it came out about what you were going through. But I was trying to figure out, like, why didn't you go back to a previous album instead of grasping to this one? Is there any particular reason, maybe? Or is it just because this one came out when you were going through that, so it's just the one that, boom, you hit that?
Yeah, it's funny because I would say as a youth, this one probably had like the lead of the big four, the least amount of songs that were just kind of regularly on rotation as a kid. And I think that's the difference. I think the other three albums appealed to more the teenage sensibility of me. Whereas when I started like collecting No Use for a Name and getting serious about it, I was also an adult already. And so I think this one appeals to the adult a little more than the other three. And I think that's probably what it is, more so than, and also just like the week I bought it, I had off of work and I listened to it that whole week. And so it could be as superficial as that as well, you know.
I mean, even with Rancid records, when as I look back on it, the ones I listen to more are the ones that they made later in life, with the exception of Out Come the Wolves. But if I really got down and dirty with it, and I really wanted to be extremely honest about it, what record do I listen to the most now? It's not Out Come the Wolves. It's Troublemaker. That's the one. Well, and then Tomorrow Never Comes has been an immediate slot in there with the. But I mean, Out Come the Wolves is my favorite record. It's not going to change. But I don't listen to that one like I used to, and I don't listen to Let's Go like I used to. And those albums were extremely important to me. I mean, I can only imagine what my life would be if I hadn't gotten my hands on those. I mean, bro, like what? I mean, there's even whole entire bands that I don't even listen to anymore that I would have not been the same person without. MXPX is a great example.
You consider yourself a fan of them though, right? Like ultimately,
yes.
even if you don't listen to them. Yeah, there's a whole category like that for me as well.
I'm still a fan of MXPX. I still follow that guy on TikTok. I just don't listen to them. I might have to go back and throw on Life is General later today just to dip back in that pool, man. But I like this album, and the more I listen to it, because here's the deal, man. I need time on a record like this. I don't need a couple of weeks. I need like a year. I need to listen to it on my own time when I want to hear it, because something that, and I'm sure you do this, we review music. That's kind of what we do on these channels. And when you hear a song, I may hate it the first time or even love it the first time and completely flip-flop within a year. So my opinion on it right now very well might change, because it has changed already in the past few weeks. Is what I was getting at.
It's like a relationship, honestly. When you first start out, it's the aesthetics that matter. So when you hear a song that's banging, kind of the specifics don't matter, right? Or a song that's super emotional, maybe it doesn't matter. Like, whoa, they went deep. And then you sit for a year, as you are saying, and you kind of digest it. And I think like that's where you got with some of the newer Rancid recently, whereas that wasn't automatically at the top of your head, but now you've been sitting with it. And you have it. And to this album specifically, it's a sit with it album. I think that is what makes it a lot different than the other three albums. Whereas you can hear a song like Straight from the Jacket or one of those from one of the other albums and immediately be like, okay, cool song, badass song. Or you can dig into it deeper, where these songs are a little more, you have to, as you said, want to listen to them as well.
I think that in the end, whenever I'm in my later years, whenever that may be, hopefully it's not anytime soon, but hopefully, another 20 years, 30 years, I'll be sitting with these records and I'll be listening to this one more, because I feel like right now today, if I was to listen to No Use for a Name, I wouldn't pick this record. I would go with Making Friends. Out of all the 4 records I listened to, that I listened to repeat listens of, that was the one that I was like, okay, this is the one that I liked it pretty immediately. I saw where I was wrong about them earlier. It's kind of like, in my opinion, they're like peak, even though technically they're probably better later on. It's my opinion of their peak. But I do think that if I went through something traumatic right now, I might go back to this album just for the simple fact that I know it's got heavier lyrics. It's got Well, it's got heavier lyrics. That's all I really care about. I mean, the songs are very similar musically, not the same, but they're similar. But the lyrics are quite a bit more mature on this album.
Maturity, yeah. Well, it's less varied, I think, because there's mature lyrics on all their albums, but they're in between
that's what it. Yeah, it's more
between the Redemption song cover or something like that. You know, where this doesn't really, other than Fairy Tale of New York, it really doesn't have a song where you kind of take a break and just sort of enjoy it.
Isn't that towards the end of the record?
It's on the middle. It's
is it the middle?
It's when you flip, you know, so it's the end of the A side. On this pressing, at least.
Probably is on most of them, I would think.
Yeah. So it is like a halfway, you know, it is a halfway point.
You used to be able to listen to a CD and tell when the A side was over. Because you could tell that based on how they produce a record, that they produce it for two sides. And so if you listen to the CD, you go, oh, this is when it flips. And then you could go look at the album and go, yep, see, told you. Song 6.
So that's mostly true, but it's especially true in punk rock, like in this era, because in 1999, everyone is just making CDs, like making their albums for CDs. Whereas punk rockers are still selling these things in that fashion, and they're still designing and laying out, arranging albums in that way.
I definitely meant punk rock because that's all I've ever really listened to, but I never thought about it. Like, I guess other bands probably weren't doing that.
For regular music, I've kind of explored this before. That's more apparent on like Doors records and stuff like that, not stuff that was made in the 90s for pop music.
From the 70s and 60s.
Yeah, that stuff also has that sort of structure. Yeah.
I have a little bit of things to criticize on this album. I don't mean it with any disrespect. I certainly don't mean it as antagonistic because I know it's an important record to you, so I come at it from respectful. I thought it was a little too polished, like just audibly, like the aesthetic of it was just a little too clean for me. The songs, it's like they got too good, and I want a little bit of not good in my punk. The vocals were a little much for me. I think this was my least favorite vocal performance of the ones that I've heard as of right now. I really do like Making Friends quite a bit, man. I didn't think I was going to like this band that much. I do. I like them a lot more than I thought I would.
I think Making Friends is their best punk rock album. Like if you want to judge it on that scale, I think that
maybe that's what it is that I liked about it.
Of the hybrid of their really good songwriting plus their ability to, because they can play, like, and they can do both speeds. They can do, which I think they were kind of at their heart really an alternative rock band that was caught in the punk scene. I think that's where they sort of belong.
Well, look at bands like Lit. That band was like a punk band back then. They were never a punk band, dude. They just kind of liked a little bit of pop punk stuff. They were a rock and roll band. But
bands like No Use for a Name would kind of tour with bands like that too.
That's exactly my point. So
they were close enough related. They were kin in that sort of way. Yeah.
I do think there's something to be said for that comment. I do think that maybe they weren't really so much a punk band, but more of an alternative band dressed up as punk rockers. But whatever, dude. No judgment there, man. It is what it is. Good music's good music. I don't really care how we get it, as long as we get it. And
more than anything, they're a Fat Records band. That probably is a way to categorize them.
Fat had a lot of bands that I personally don't really care for as much. As I get older, I'm a little more open to it. Like, they're Strung Out is the one that we're gonna have to talk about them at some point, bro, because I can't understand this band, dude. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand the popularity. I don't understand like the reverence. I don't get it. Like, they're okay, I guess, but they got a lot of bad songs, dude. Like, sorry, anybody out there is a fan of Strung Out, man. I don't mean
they got some hardcore fans too, so that's good.
They really do, man. Dude, come on with it, bro. It's all just a discussion, so come on with it. Be as grumpy and angry as you want. I don't mind. I'm not trying to be rude, so if you want to be rude in response to that, then I certainly don't care. It's not gonna bother me any. Dude, people think I care. You got the wrong one, dude. I don't, man. Yeah. Will you react to it? I'm like, that's the whole point of my channel, dude. Yeah, react to it. Do I spend time thinking about it afterwards? Nope. I got too much crap to do. Wish I had life. Yeah. Bro, I wish I had the time to think about that stuff. But yeah, I do think there's some fat bands, and I don't mean to just dog on fat. I just think that I guess I'm just through and through. I'm a Hellcat and Epitaph guy. I do know that there's a very thick line drawn in the sand between those two. They had their own camps, dude. I mean, there was whole sections of people that I knew that didn't like the other, and it wasn't like they were like, it wasn't like it was a friendly rivalry more so than anything. It was just like, yeah, I don't really care for that. It wasn't mean, but it was people that just, that's what they liked. That's what they liked. But I want to keep it on topic of this record, man, because I listened to it like twice, dude, where I sat down and just listened to it. It's good, man. I don't know why I think it's because I'm happy right now. I think if I was going through something right now, I would probably really need this record.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably be like a Life Won't Wait record for me, because Life Won't Wait is when my dad died. So like I go back to that record and I hear things in that song that are supposed to be a little more happy that I don't look at as happy, but they help. I look at it from a different perspective. And so I think this one, I do want to own a copy of it. That's how much I do like it. I do want to own a copy of it. So me saying that it's not as good as Making Friends for me doesn't matter, because we're just talking about the record. Like, do I like it or not? Yes. Is it a good album? Yes. Do I want to own it? Yes. So that needs to be stated. I need to make sure that that's out there.
Which is a pretty good that's a
Correct.
thumbs up. Yeah, that is an approval. That is a mark of approval. And I think what our point of this conversation is sort of split those hairs on where those details are or aren't. So,
that's why I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I think your comment about where your head's at absolutely matters, and this album is dependent on that, because this is also an album I can see not listening for like 2 or 3 years, still having that reference point, but just because, as you said, there's not a lot going on, or there's not these specific things going on that are sort of referenced here. And both of those can be, because sometimes you can listen to emotional music when you're going through stuff, even if, as you're saying, it's not necessarily on topic, but it's because you have feelings, they have feelings, everyone's mixing the feelings at that point.
When I lost my house in Harvey, I hate that I have to bring this up all the time, but that was a major thing that happened in my life. When I lost everything, I listened to a lot more of like sad music that was about girls, because I didn't have people that were writing songs about losing their home, but I did have songs about guys that were losing their love. And that's the parallel for me, is like we were both going down this road of loss, and this is our intersection that we met up at, and then we ended up finally going, okay, well, I had a good time with you guys, I'm gonna go this way now, and then eventually we'll meet back up at another intersection, and then we'll go back our separate ways. Because I think an album that you revisit at heavy times in your life might even say that it's a better record than the one you listen to all the time, because when you need a crutch, that's the one you go to. When you need something to lean on, that's the center point, that's the cornerstone, that's the one that you go, oh man, just like Out Come the Wolves. I told you, I don't listen to it all the time. When I'm having a bad day, that's the record I go pick up and throw on. Out Come the Wolves. That's my favorite record. So I lean on it, man. I need that, dude. So this is your favorite No Use record, because when you need it, it's there. That doesn't mean it's the one you listen to all the time, because a lot of times, like you said, you don't want to listen to sad music all the time, right?
And so Making Friends and Lecha are probably more on that list. Or if I want to get into the lighter No Use for it, like if I feel like watching No Use for a Name live footage, I like stuff from like 2002 when they got a little poppier, because their actual live performances, at least the ones that are captured for like YouTube, are a little funner, because they have actually funner songs as they grew a little more poppy.
Dude, that matters, man.
Mm-hmm.
That matters a lot. Have you been seeing any of the footage for the Blink reunion tour?
Just like the first show, and then I haven't caught up with it since then.
It's weird, man. Like everything I see, and maybe it's because I hate to be like this kind of guy, but people are kind of just like sheeple. They don't really think for themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's like everybody does what the one person does that pops off. So like everything that I've seen is all exactly from the same perspective, like literally like the same camera angle, dude, of Tom. Like, dude, like let's get some other people in the band on the camera. Like let's get and stop doing the same 2 songs. Like they're only doing. I want to hear what's on their set. I want to know what they're playing. And I'm not like angry. It sounds like I am, but like I want to hear what they're playing, bro. Like what's their whole set list?
Well, I've noticed though on that specifically with Blink, there's full shows that are uploaded, but they're clearly cell phone videos, so you can get a feel for it, but you can't really get it. Everything that these media companies are producing is, again, like the hits, and they're focused on Tom. Exactly. Like if you look at everything they posted for was it Coachella when they first reunited, the full show was great. I actually stayed up to watch that at like 11 o'clock over here, and it was actually really cool. But the stuff that got clipped out and with the enhanced audio is like the new song or What's My Age Again, or just kind of the stuff that it's
top
cool,
like 3 songs but
they're doing, if they're doing deep cuts, which they are on this tour, like you kind of want to check those out,
Yeah, because I don't really care to hear the emo songs. I want to hear like self-titled.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which like, is where I have a cutoff line for them, basically. To me, it just goes, they debut to Take Off Your Pants, and then they're another band after that. I still like some of their stuff, but they're not Blink anymore, for me at least.
Yeah, I don't even like say take off your jacket, pants or whatever.
Yeah, you're an Enema guy, huh? Yeah.
Enema of the State, subtitles okay. But like, yeah. Wait,
Like
I had those flipped around.
Yeah.
Subtitles after take off.
Subtitles the one in 2003. Subtitles when they went emo. That's like the emo album, the one with like the smiley face.
Yeah, that's a good logo though.
It is, and there's good songs on that album. It's just a different style of band.
It's good. Like I like it, but that's what. Yeah. Take off your good grief. I can't say it. Take off your pants. That was after Enema.
Yes, that was the follow-up.
Okay, so yeah, then that's when I have a hard stop and go, okay, different band. Mm-hmm. So self-titled and after. Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. And I was making sure I couldn't figure out if we were on the same page or not. But like that logo is such a good logo that I would get that tattooed on me, even though that's not the album that I love.
Most people do for the Blink tattoos. That is kind of the go-to.
Sorry.
And a lot of people have that line in the sand that you and I are drawing. I don't think that's that controversial.
Okay.
You know, because when bands change their sound, there are camps. Even like Blink, I've never felt enough of a passion about them. Like I love Blink, but like to be like mad that they changed their sound. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I don't care.
They were never
AFI's the same way, and I still love their old records.
Yeah, they still exist, and they still play the songs.
Check this out. Okay, two things. One, this is completely off subject, but whatever. One, if you had asked me a month ago, what's the best Blink-182 record? I wouldn't even have blinked, bro. I've been like Enema of the State without even. I went back and listened to Dude Ranch. It's better.
Thank
bro.
you.
Like the production's not as good.
It doesn't have Travis. It just doesn't have Travis. That's the only.
And the drumming is not as good, but the songs are better songs. Like I like
Apple Shampoo, Lemmings. Yes,
dude,
I love that album.
They're faster, and there's songs that I thought were on Enema that aren't. They're on Dude Ranch, and so like I just because I it's like Let's Go Knock on the Wolves, bro. I put those two albums together because that's when I got them, and they just kind of were together for me. But like, and then oh man, I lost it. What was the other thing I was going to tell you? Oh, bro. Okay, so we were talking. You and I were talking about AFI, and you had mentioned that everything up to and including Black Sails was good AFI, and I admit no, that wasn't you.
No, everything up to Days of not Days of the Art of Drowning. Everything up to Art of Drowning, I really love.
Wait,
Art of Drowning came out after Black Sails. So
is that the one with the face on it? Is that the one with like the red border?
No, that's Sing the Sorrow. So Art of Drowning.
No. That's not Sing. No. That's not. I don't like that album. That's not Sing the Sorrow.
Art of Drowning is the one with like the statue fountain kind of thing. That's like painted a logo. It's the one with the Western Days of Phoenix. It has like a lot of their big.
Wait, is that an EP?
No. So you're thinking of there's a Halloween EP in between those two, in between Black Sails. So AFI turns like dark, right, with Black Sails after the skate hardcore era, and then they go Black Sails, the Halloween EP, and then the Art of Drowning, and then their next music is the Sing the Sorrow, the full emo turn.
Wait, they had an album after this.
Yeah, so they had the EP. They had the EP right after that. Now it's a very famous EP. It's the All Hallows EP.
Yeah, one with Halloween on it.
Yes, and then it's got and then they have the Art of Drowning, which is in my opinion their best album that came. The next full length album after the album you're holding in your hand there is the Art of Drowning.
Okay. So I need to go back and listen to that record then, because when my opinion was, okay, Shut Your Mouth is what I was talking about with the face on it, the red border.
Yeah.
Okay, so my opinion was up to Shut Your Mouth, good. After that, meh. After Art of Drowning, terrible. I still stand behind that. But I didn't remember Black Sails being that good.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of people's favorite. It's a lot of people's favorite album is Black Sails.
I think Answer That and Black Sails are probably my two favorites. Mm-hmm. Because I think the first record I ever heard from them was Black Sails, and I just forgot. I forgot because I had this like weird flashback when I bought this album. And I played it, and I had this weird like deja vu thing.
It's so good.
And I remembered like hanging out in my friend's van listening to it, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, that was this record." Because it's the intro that I remembered, and I was like, "Man, that's crazy! Like, how did I forget that?"
Ever since that, so Black Sails like represents them no longer being a normal punk band, though. So and that I like how you made that distinction. That's how most people. So the first album, the one with Serial Wars and all that, that's like a straight up pop punk album almost. You know, like a look.
Pop punk? No.
It's like a lookout album.
Very proud of you. Those aren't pop punk at all. Those are punk rock albums.
Okay, like, but in the way that we're gonna say NOFX and No Use are pop punk, I think that can those.
I think these songs are far more punk rock than No Use and NOFX.
Okay, I would put them in the same category. I would disagree.
Oh, really?
Now, here's the difference.
Slow down. Here's the difference.
Like, here's the difference. No, but they're silly like pop punk. A song called Serial Wars, and I want a mohawk and mama won't let me get one. Tell me that's not pop punk.
I don't consider that pop punk because they have a silly title. Anti-Flag did stuff like that. Some of their songs, they weren't pop punk. True. So their songs are really fast. They don't have any of the slow vocals. They have it's all like. They're all.
But on the melodic hardcore, they're more on the hardcore spectrum. Then would you at least concede that if you're going to say it's part of melodic hardcore, they'd be closer on the hardcore spectrum, and they always have been, even with that early stuff.
I mean, I kind of consider them a hardcore band,
right? And that's what I think a lot of people do.
I've never considered AFI close to NoFX or No Use or Strung Out. Like completely different genre. I would definitely have called them. I'm almost positive that I used to just call them a hardcore band.
And I think they self-identified as a hardcore band.
And then
as well.
As soon as they hit Sing the Sorrow, I was like, oh, no longer a hardcore band.
Yeah.
Dude. Anyways.
So if you look at the discography for the one last thing, I actually think if you look at the progression, Art of Drowning and Black Sails should be switched though. Because if you actually listen to them in reverse order, the sound change on Sing the Sorrow doesn't feel as jarring after Black Sails. I think I like Art of Drowning better, but do you understand what I'm saying? I feel like Art of Drowning is a better link to the older era of AFI.
Okay, so my natural instinct is to completely disagree with that as far as the sound on Sing the Sorrow not being as jarring, because I don't care what you put in front of that album, it was jarring. That album is nothing like AFI in my opinion. They should have changed their whole name. I didn't think they should have even considered themselves AFI anymore. They didn't sound like they had a whole different. I mean, their whole sound changed. But I guess if I had to say it was closer to one, dude, by a tiny bit. But I haven't listened to Art Drowning in a long time. I need to go back and listen to that album.
It's funny about that is for whatever reason, AFI was available in Walmart where I lived. I don't know how they broke through that.
Wild.
So I got Black Sails out of Walmart, which is just
awesome.
Cool. And then I bought the album I ended up not liking, Sing the Sorrow, also out of Walmart for not very much money. So I listened to it halfway through and never got to the end the first time and only gave it a new chance like 2 years ago.
Wow. I've done that before though.
It wasn't personal. AFI, I didn't take it personally. I was like, okay, they changed their sound, whatever. Goodbye. That was kind of my attitude towards it.
I did take it personal because in let's see, what's the years these came out in? So I was a fan of them when Art of Drowning came out.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a fan in 95. I didn't know, but I found them probably in 99. Probably it was about Black Sails. I probably came around.
They start kind of hitting their mass spreading out distribution in that era. So
yeah, and then I went back and heard their other records and liked them still to this day. Answer That is my favorite one. That's the one that I listen to the most. But when Sing the Sorrow came out, I was personally offended by that, dude. I was pissed, dude. Because think about it. That same year, I got Alkaline Trio in my stuff now. I listen to them now, and I was thinking dude, I got
Indestructible,
Bouncing Souls. All these classic records dropped in 2003, and then we got Sing the Sorrow, and I was expecting it to be a punk rock record or a hardcore record, because in my opinion, back then, punk rock and hardcore were basically the same thing. And even now, I think of punk rock and hardcore as almost the same thing. Stuff like Knock Loose, in my opinion, is not hardcore. It's metal. It's not a bad thing, but in my opinion, I look at Knock Loose and go, that's metal. I don't really even call it hardcore. It's too heavy. Now, is it metalcore? Yeah, it's probably more like metalcore.
But it's the metal dudes who like it. And that's how I kind of look at it too. It's more the metal guys that like Knock Loose versus a punk fan that likes heavier punk,
Yeah, my heavier punk would be stuff like Terror is about as heavy as it gets for me. Or Wisdom in Chains maybe, because they're very much rooted in punk rock still. And it's not a condemnation. People hear this stuff and go, oh, that means you don't like. No, dude, it's just a description, man. It's just whenever I say Juice WRLD didn't come off the top with this specific bar, it's not a condemnation. It's an observation, man. I just went, no, that's just not. It's not off the dome. It's pre-rehearsed, and then they get all upset as if I said something negative about him, and I'm like, no. It's because you associate that with negativity,
with a negative connotation. Yeah, I make that mistake with you all the time. Whenever you'll mention a genre, I'll be like, no, it's not that big, and I'm like, oh, you don't automatically mean that sucks when you say it like that. So it's like,
no,
okay,
I just describe things in genre because I know music stuff, so I go.
It's just our way of categorizing things. Yeah.
Yeah, I categorize it like that, not as like a put down, unless I say it with a specific tone of voice, but it'd be pretty obvious if I was doing that.
Yeah.
I would likely just say that sucks,
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if I have to be 100% honest, not with you necessarily, but with like kids online sometimes, I'll say stuff that I know is going to irritate them. Even though I know I mean it this way, I still also know it's going to irritate because it's so stupid that they get irritated by it. But that's me admitting that I do stupid stuff too.
That's a communication trick though, when you can say the truth but say it in a way to arouse. Yeah, that happens.
I think I wish that more betterness. I wish it was mixed different. I wish it was arranged different. Speaking solely of what I want to listen to on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
If the songs were arranged in a different order, because man, that first song is very good, but it is so hard for me to get into that record after that song, because that song to me feels like one you would want to end the record with.
Well, and I told you it's my all-time favorite No Use song.
Yeah, well, that's why I hold it in such high regard, because I know how much you care about it.
No, but I think that point is fair though to that song and where it is on the album too, because you start out with like a palm muted guitar intro that doesn't exactly like, you can't picture starting the mosh pit off with Not Your Savior. It just doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the starting point is a little bit muted. That's a great word.
It would actually sound better on piano, actually, if you think about how that starting goes.
Yeah, I think that song would be a great outro. And I think that if I was in that band, I would probably look at it and go, hey, we should re-release this under a different, call it a redux, whatever you want to call it, and just put it same artwork, different color scheme, maybe a little just slightly different, just to make sure people know it's a different release, and just see if you get a response from people. And do it digitally. Have you ever heard? And it sounds. Have you got to check out in this journey the No Use for a Name and Friends stuff that's out there? Not yet, dude. I'm still, I got a lot going on too right now. I would like to. I mean, there's no limits to what I would listen to with these guys. I will listen to, at this point, anything. So I say that because you do know the ultimate fate of the band, right? Wait, yeah. I mean, old buddy passed away, didn't he? Yeah. And they broke up. Right. So there is, though, the tour after. There's one show which I've made a video about, like a reaction video on, and it's called "The Genius of Tony Sly," and it was for the Fat Records 25th anniversary show. They did basically like a No Use for a Name set, but with the exception of one song which was sang by the bass player, another singer did every song. So like Fat Mike does On the Outside. Jason Cruz from Strung Out does a song that I can't recall off the top of my head. I may have to do a video on that one too. Yeah, Joey Cape from Lagwagon does 2 songs. That's where Joey Cape's from, Lagwagon, bro. I keep thinking of Joey Cape going, man, why can't I remember what band that dude was in? So then, they played shows. The No Use for Name and Friends did play shows, a few shows after that as sort of like a farewell. There is a Tony Sly tribute album that's got about 40 different artists within the broad punk genre. Everyone from like Simple Plan to like Snuff, just doing like there's like 3 different versions of On the Outside on the same record that different guys have done. I heard that when Chuck Reagan was getting big. Somebody had that and was like, hey, you should listen to this, because if you like Chuck Reagan, you'll like Tony Sly. And I was like, dude, I don't doubt any of that. I just wasn't as into it back then. I was in a hardcore like acoustic punk spot, bro. I had a big old beard, stupid flannel shirt. You have a real passion for that stuff too. I think I do. Acoustic punk, where I like my punk when it gets a little acoustic flavoring, where you like it as it's at the main course. I think you like the acoustic. Well, you know why though, dude? I think it's because I can tell that all Rancid songs are written acoustically, and that's what I like to do. That's folk punk and acoustic punk is like, I guess maybe some of it's because I grew up listening to country music with my dad. Mm-hmm. So I have this like in my blood. I have this acoustic. I like it. Like I write acoustic. I write all my music on acoustic guitar. Like, man. Yeah. I guess I never really thought about it. I guess I do kind of really love that stuff. I hold it up in a high regard. Mm. So that's why I can see you like, because I love, for me, when I think of acoustic punk, I think of the Joey Cape, Tony Sly tour. Like I love that, but it's not really for new songs necessarily. It's for the Lagwagon and No Use songs done acoustically and done in a different sort of setting. I listened to Chuck Reagan. I liked. I still listen to. There's a band called Saw Wheel. They had one album, bro. That record, man. The first like 3 songs, like I don't even need the whole record. Just let me have the first 3 songs. They're so good. I've spent so many hours of my life drunk listening to that and just being just pissy whining.
Perfect. I remember seeing it. I don't know who it was. I remember one year at a Warped Tour, I saw a bluegrass punk band, and I don't even remember their name, but that was like some of the most fun I ever. They were on a side stage, and the dudes had like the straight up like the mutton chops, everything. It was like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" music, but with punk rock.
That's
mixed
amazing.
in, and that was so fun.
You know what I think it is? I think that's my emo.
Yeah, I could see you
because like all those songs are a lot heavier, and like I listen to those when I'm sad. I don't really listen to emo. Like I don't listen to like, I don't listen to emo. Like I don't have no problem with emo. There's a few bands out there that I really like. I like Hawthorne Heights. MCR is really good. Dude, the album's called Through Being Cool. What's that band's name?
Saves the Day. Bro,
that record? Come on, dude. And some of the lyrics in that, bro, they're like reminiscent of Alkaline Trio lyrics.
I'm not, I see like that album cover, and I think of like trying to meet girls as a 9th grader, and like that album cover looks like those like social scenarios.
Yes, that album cover is awesome because of that.
Yeah,
that record, when I first heard that, I was like, I'm not supposed to like this, but I do. I was like, this is for girls, but I love this.
So them and like the Get Up Kids, I know are like not cool to like, but I hear their music and it makes me happy. I don't know how else to explain it. I just get happy when I hear their music. Yeah, and it's not real. That's not really my style. Like people think I like that. I think more than I actually do. But like if I'm somewhere and it's on, I'm like, okay, I'm in a cool place. Like it's.
Great. I just got in the mail at my mom's house. Since I'm moving, I had all my mail shipped over to her place.
Same.
Right, and I got. She's like, you got this big package in the mail, and it's like this giant box. And she's like, it's heavy. What is it? And I was like, oh, it's got to be records. Like if it's heavy and it's large, the only thing that I would order that's heavy and large would be vinyl. And so I figured out what it was, dude. It's these represses of the first 3 Alkaline Trio records on these like colored vinyl, and they only had 500 of each. Dude, they were so expensive, dude. Like
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, the Asian Man ones, right? I think they're 3 Asian Man.
Yeah, they're like. They only let you order 2 of each, and I was like, man, I wanted to order like 4 or 5 of each of them.
So I thought my Maybe I'll Catch Fire pressing was from that. It's from a specific pressing, but not from. But when I bought it a couple years, I bought it thinking I was buying from that collection. So
this is actually a new press through. I don't know who the label they're on did it, but I know it's from 1, 2, 3, 4 Go Records. I don't know what that is really. It's like this new
like
big
subsidiary,
store.
maybe.
It's a store. They get like these rights to do these like store exclusives, and they sell them online too because they get like 500 pressed. But they get to be really like desirable because they're only made in this one part of the country, and like. But now that online stores are everywhere, so they sell them online too. But I often miss them because they're not like a local thing to Texas, so I don't really. You know what I'm saying? Like I just miss it.
Yeah, I'm looking at their website though. They do something because they have a lot of really big bands, and they're not like a major label.
Crazy, dude.
They have a Deftones release. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous. So like, I think they're just a pretty big record store where they're at, and they can sell a lot of units, and so they are
exclusives.
Able to. Yeah, they get these. So I got those Alkaline Trio ones. I don't know which ones are available anymore, but I would imagine if they are available, they will be gone soon. So,
as Alkaline Trio is one of the better bands for collector's items, it feels like.
Yep.
Their albums are merch. Yeah, their albums are merch.
It never seems to be available either. So you go try to find it, and it's always either sold out or coming soon. And you're like, dude, come on.
It's just Alkaline Trio fans like to spend money on that band. I don't know. It's because there's some bands that I'll be really into.
Bro, I'll spend a lot of money on their band.
You've got a shirt. I've got an Alkaline Trio tattoo on my arm. Like that band, you part with your money a lot with that
band.
Dude,
this right here is officially the most money I've ever spent on vinyl. Conservative Military Image, Cold Steel, No New Friends. 2 songs. The production on this, like the actual, like what you get for your money is insane. Like the Lionheart Records, bro, I will never stop talking about them. Shout out to those guys for giving a crap what their people have, because I spent a ridiculous amount of money on this. And I am so happy. Like it's 2 songs, $130, and I would do it. And I would do it again. because of just how great it's just you get this piece of beautiful artwork, and it's got like even the little 45 adapter's got something printed on it. Like it's just bananas, dude. Like
just good craftsmanship to give you a product.
That's the word I was looking for, craftsmanship.
Because music itself isn't really the commodity anymore. Because you can just get that. That's like a utility now that you just sort of pay for monthly.
Correct. Now you get like, it's just like my tapes. I could have easily made boring white tapes with a clear case, but I went and found a place that had good cases. I got 31 made like this. And I even went as far as to tell them to not print the back because I didn't want it printed. I wanted it to be in the case one way and one way only. And so, I've not seen
a green tape case in so long, or a colored tape case since like the 90s. Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you, that's why my record label's going to do well, man. And like the back is not printed. People are like, why? I'm like, dude, first and foremost, I'm a live music guy. Most people like autographs. I don't really care about them that much unless it's specific people, but this was literally made blank so TJ could sign it and not go over the artwork. Like, that's why I did it that way. Dude, I told this girl that, and she was like, oh, because she hated it. She's like, why is it not printed? And I was like, well, I did it for a reason. And he goes, it's like shrink wrap, And she goes, well, and I said, well, she goes like, well, what? So I have to like open it. I said, well, no. If you want it signed, you would open it anyways, right? She goes, yeah. I was like, yeah, you get them signed the back. She's like, oh, that's so much better. I'm like, yeah, it's like you can still view it with the tape closed. Like,
I learned that the first year of Warped Tour when I got all my merch signed, and then I didn't want to wash any of my T-shirts after I got them.
I don't get shirts signed for that exact reason. I don't just get my skin signed and then tattoo it on me if it's somebody important enough.
Yeah, I guess nowadays though everyone just takes selfies, so that's proof of meeting someone.
Hold on 1 second, I gotta show you something. Oh crap, we're all packed up. Let me go see if it's still on the wall. Hold on 1 second.
Gotcha.
Okay, so just to show anybody that doesn't understand how important Rancid is to me, when my house flooded, my wife even went back inside and got something that was Rancid related to save. I don't show you this lightly because I'm terribly embarrassed by this photograph. But in 2006, I saw Rancid in Houston, and I got them to sign my ticket stub because that's all I had that I could carry around. They wouldn't let, at that point, for some reason, they weren't letting you bring things in. I don't remember what the reason was, but I had snuck in a literal disposable camera in my back pocket. It was tiny, dude, and I got this photograph with Tim.
Oh, nice.
That's from 2006, and that is at the height of my like folk punk guy look, dude.
That's the Chuck Reagan era right there.
This is exactly what I was thinking of when I said that. And you can see my nose ring in this picture still. My hair was all shaggy, bro. I remember that show very, very well. My girlfriend at the time, we broke up, and I had bought her ticket, and I left her ticket on the counter when we moved out. In my head, I was thinking like she doesn't even really care about Rancid. There's no way she's going to that show. But I didn't want to not give her the ticket because I thought that was kind of a bum move. I don't know, man. I've always been nicer to the one. I've always been the one to get kicked around, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure you're the same way. And so I left her the ticket, and I'm walking around the venue, and I distinctly remember my friend going, "Oh, there's so and so," and I went, "What?" And I look over. And she's looking right at me. And I audibly went, "Why are you here?" And she's like, "You left me the ticket." And I was like, not to use it. I was so mad, bro.
She actually used it. Oh, wow.
I couldn't believe she used it, dude. I was flabbergasted.
And then you were there. You're at your happy place, right?
Yeah, like, this is dude, she was like a metalcore chick, dude. She was like, yeah, man.
Oh, is this the girl that is why you have Avenged Sevenfold issues because of this girl?
Yes, actually.
Oh, okay, good prediction.
So, you know what's funny? She's talking about how she wants to forget me and all this stuff, and so I was like, telling her, you know, how girls are. I'm gonna forget you and this and that. And I just thought like that's hilarious because you're never gonna forget me. I have 2 giant tattoos on you that I drew. Dude, look at this old picture of Rancid that I cut out of a magazine to put with a silly photo for my wife. I don't know what magazine it was, but I love stuff like this, man.
Something like 1997, like
that
time
for
period.
Sure.
On that 06 tour, I killed my mom. As according to my employer, I killed her off to go to the Rancid show. I called and said she was in the hospital. And then I called her the next day and told her that, and she got very mad, saying I was tempting fate. But
that's
like I said,
pretty hilarious.
In case anyone asks you, you died last night, so I can go to Rancid.
That's awesome. Yeah, my wife absolutely adores this thing. You can see right here on it, this little piece of like, it's like it got wet and stuck to the glass. Yeah, because it was in that flood. I'm really fortunate this is still available. I don't have anything to. I need to scan this on the computer and get it like.
Just have it there for.
Yeah. Because that's an old picture of Tim, dude. That's like, I mean, 2006. He didn't have. Yeah, that's a pretty old picture.
That's transplants, Tim. That's like peak transplants.
That's
celebrity Tim, I would say. Like,
yeah,
so he's the most, like when we saw him that in 05, I didn't get to meet him, but he was doing the booth for the transplants, the signing was like had a corporate sponsor, so it wasn't just a booth where you go over and talk to him, so it was real specific. But me and my friend just noticed how jacked he was, and because in our minds Tim is like this frail cigarette smoker dude, and then we saw him up close and he was just all ripped, and we were stunned. And then years later, I think it was the Avenged Sevenfold guy that said they learned how to work out on tour by watching Tim do bench presses in the semi before Rancid would go out, that he'd be in there. And so the Avenged Sevenfold guys just thought, oh, we're young, we like to work out. So they started doing that, modeling it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I get, so, Warped Tour would have those semi trailers. So I guess Tim would have like a weight bench set up in the so once they emptied the trailer for the equipment, they would set up the weight bench, and before they'd go on, like his pre-show routine was pumping iron back then.
Yeah, probably because he's always been kind of a in the shadows dude, so he probably got like nervous and go up there and like get some of the jitters out, and then thought, oh, this is a good way to get exercise. Because I mean, look, dude, you can be as punk rock as you want, you still need to exercise, dude. Like you have to if you want to live. Like I'm an active person now, and I'm in the process of trying to lose some weight. Like you have to, bro. Like look at the Misfits guys; those guys are huge. Well,
and jacked too. Those guys are
now.
Like but when they were like in their 50s, they were still jacked to that level. I mean, you don't have to be like Henry Rollins about it, I don't think, but
dude, that guy's Henry Rollins, man. That guy's a character, dude. I don't know what to say about Henry Rollins. I don't understand that dude. Like
thinking he's the most known punk rocker that people don't know he's a punk rocker also. Like I know so many people that know of Henry Rollins, that seen him in a movie or something, that I was like, oh yeah, that's just kind of the singer of Black Flag. Like no big deal. Like
that is so weird and so true, bro. I hate these tattoos. These stupid stars.
My first ever tattoo was a nautical star tattoo.
This is probably my 3rd tattoo. I mean, it's not. I guess it's not a bad tattoo.
I like them as logos, but I go in and out like every 5 years of liking them. My Punk Ots logo is a nautical star, just because the era of music I talk about, pretty much that was like the symbol of that time period was the nautical star.
That's pretty accurate. You know what's funny though is that was a smart move, because when I saw it, I knew that's what it was. I knew why you picked it. So that was a smart move. Did you see my updated logo and stuff?
Let me check out for a punk rock review.
Yeah, I think it's way, way, way better.
Let me see what you got cooking.
Yeah,
here.
I think it's a way better like representation of what I'm doing. I mean, I fumbled that word, didn't I? Representation of what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks like an album cover, or I got you.
Right? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I found this picture of this kid stage diving in like the late 70s. I was like, that's the one. I got to use that photo.
Or an imprint. It could be an imprint on like a compilation label in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the little like straight red italicized with white, it just pops. It's like, it's way better than what I had before. Like I've already had a lot of people go, oh, I like that way better. I'm like, dude, thanks. Because the first one, bro, I thought I had like a year to like figure it out, and it's been 2 months, and I'm like, oh, I gotta fix my logo. This is not what I want it to be like indefinitely. Like that was I'm gonna start this. I need something. Let me use it type of thing.
It looks like I'm getting the vibe of kind of a poster at a show that you would see stapled. So I think that's
Yeah,
probably what you were going for. Yeah.
Yeah, Warped Tour-y, but like still a little more classic than that.
More of a club, yeah. More of a club than a Warp. I feel like my logo is more to invoke Warped Tour.
That's
Yours
true.
is to invoke the club show, the actual punk show. Yeah.
Yeah. I was telling somebody that you and I we overlap a lot, but that's where we're a little different. Is that like I think when I was in my 20s, I was just a more dangerous person. I was homeless a lot. I was on drugs a lot. Like there was a lot of that you were like, I'm not messing with that, and I was just like, man, I'm an idiot. So I went and did a bunch of stuff. So I just got pulled into this like seedier side of punk rock.
And I was more adjacent. I was more adjacent to that. Like I knew all those guys, but I just didn't get involved.
Yeah.
And those guys.
And I think that makes for a lot of interesting conversation with us because we do have an overlap that's fairly large. But we have also got a fair amount that's our own, and it helps for this dynamic.
The T-shirts we're wearing today specifically are the two places I think we representative of where we overlap: Hellcat Records and Alkaline Trio.
Yeah, no, for real though. That's hilarious. This is our overlap, guys.
Because it was in my new house, so I guess we had to do that as a branding exercise.
Bro, because I did you ever get into hardcore, or were you pretty strictly a punk rock guy?
I've always liked it, but I've never I'm not a buy the records, go to the shows kind of hardcore fan. You know what I mean? And so I don't know a ton about it.
To that.
Yeah, I just like if you're telling me your band is a hardcore band, I'm like, cool. That means I like it, but I'm not necessarily into it. You know, if you tell me your band is just a straight up metal band, then I feel like I have to judge it a little more or see if I like it or not. Whereas, okay, you're doing a hardcore band, like you're in the club kind of. You know the secret handshake.
I do think that the punk rock and hardcore are super, super close together. Mm-hmm. And I think that I don't know how that happened, dude. How did hardcore turn so metal? We should do a video on that one day. Mm-hmm. Where we both, because I don't think either of us have an answer to that. We can just try to figure it out.
I do think somewhere in the early 90s, there was like the Panteras of the world, and those more mainstream metal guys kind of grew up on a little bit of hardcore, and I think that's where it took people. And so I think, in my opinion, hardcore's been guys with like punk sort of mentalities like you and I, but they like metal.
Played metal.
Yeah. And that is like its essence. But
hardcore is like hardcore is like the football team of punk rock. They're like the jocks of punk rock.
Literally. Like when you know all your friends of your punk rock friends, like the ones that can beat up the other guy are your hardcore
all the
friends.
Hardcore guys, yeah. And and I have like a little bit of both of them in me. Like I wasn't like a tough guy, but I wasn't a punk. Like I couldn't literally speaking, I wasn't a little bitch, But I think Earth Crisis and Agnostic Front and all that stuff kind of melded together because I think that the point that hardcore became like metal was Hatebreed and Ozfest. When Hatebreed blew up, it was like at that point it no longer was a DIY genre. It was a try to get signed to get big genre.
And to me, I discovered Hatebreed thinking they were like off the Metallica tree because of the Ozfest thing and all that.
Isn't that
I didn't
crazy?
Realize I didn't realize they were a hardcore band until like someone had to tell me like years later.
Because when I heard Hatebreed, the first time I ever heard them, they were on Victory Records and it was a DIY label with and they sounded like a punk band that liked metal, and that's what they sounded like. And then they kept progressing because they're the line, dude. If you're heavier than Hatebreed, you're a metal band. If you're not as heavy, you're probably a hardcore band. Like Knocked Loose, I keep bringing them up because like their music's pretty good, man. They're a pretty good band. Like objectively, they're a good band. Yeah. But like those dudes that's a metal band, bro. Like I can't. People get so angry when I say that. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? First off, what's wrong with being in a metal band? Like I don't know. It's not really my cup of tea necessarily, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like, is there anything wrong with being James Hetfield? No. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like,
I have this almost the same experience again with Avenged. Because I found them as a Hopeless Records band that were wearing NOFX t-shirts on their stage show. You know what I mean? So
I knew they were like a metal band.
They're punk kids who formed a metal band is the way to think of.
Well, their favorite band was like NOFX and Guns N' Roses. That's what I've always heard.
Well, and then the bass player said, well, when I was a kid, all we listened to was Metallica and Michael Jackson. I'm like, yeah, that kind of describes you guys.
That's awesome. Dude,
or I would say like if Metallica was a boy band, that's how I describe Avenged Sevenfold.
Dude, that's exactly what it is too. Like I found this. You ever heard Integrity?
Yes.
So that's like one of my absolute all-time favorite hardcore bands of all time, right? I like them so much that I own 2 copies of Systems Overload because it's a different cover. Like I'm an idiot, right? I mean, even right next, I don't even know how I got these, dude. I got random stickers of their logo. I don't even know where they came from. They're just sitting here.
Because you bought something else that they were throwing, probably.
Probably. So if you were to ask me, okay, describe Integrity as a band, I would go, metalcore. The other day, I was in my car and I was listening to them. And I couldn't get over the fact that this band that I always think of as like a metalcore band, like they have like leads and stuff. No, dude, they're still punk rockers, man. Go back and listen to their music. It's so weird. If you just, I think a lot of it is in the tuning of a guitar. Because if you play a punk song, like go play a NoFX song on a down-tuned guitar. It sounds like a metal song.
Tune the Ramones, who are an extremely poppy band. Tune the Ramones down and slow them down like half a beat or whatever, and it sounds like a metal band.
That's true, actually.
You know, it's it just shows again, like I'm always saying, how influential punk is just on mainstream music. It doesn't really give the credit for it.
Punk was the last great genre. There hasn't been a genre to come out since punk that's like that has the kind of influence that punk rock does.
Not in rock music. I think on the hip hop side, obviously hip hop kind of supplanted rock music in the way that it did in pop culture and stuff. But as far as rock music and pop music, then yeah, punk is the biggest innovation of like the last.
I mean, I was definitely
years.
talking about rock, but I mean, rap came out before punk, didn't it?
Well, about the same time.
They
right?
were pretty
late 70s.
They were pretty. I always consider punk rock and rap pretty much cousins, dude. Like
I used to have a book when I was in middle school or like high school, and it was the Encyclopedia of Punk, and it has a section on it had a section on hip hop, and the opening line is hip hop is the black punk rock. That was the first line it said.
Oh,
in there.
Well, yeah,
and it had Run DMC, and because again, you go the 80s is a lot more socially conscious hip hop, so it's more similar to punk rock in that kind of way, I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was definitely speaking on guitar-driven music, not so much hip-hop.
Right.
You completely had me stop. I was like, what? Yeah, I wasn't really thinking hip-hop.
But I've always give that point that you're saying, because pretty much after like the 60s and 70s, like the surf rock and the stoner rock, there's not a lot new that's invented except for punk, which came in and establishes hardcore, establishes grunge, establishes thrash. Even glam metal aesthetically is punk rock aesthetics, and using new wave music, which is an offshoot of a version of punk rock, and still combines that into their music. So I think all indie rock is based on alternative, which comes out of punk rock. So I think punk rock is just the only way you could say it's not influential is like if you're like literally Iron Maiden, who likes directly like the Black Sabbath line of metal.
Yeah.
Other than that direct line of the guys who hated punk when it came out. Yeah. Everyone else is pretty much there's some sort of punk in every mainstream rock band.
I mean, you make a very valid point. You make a very valid point.
I would try to find a big band other than like I say maybe like an Iron Maiden or a Judas Priest, those sort of bands who were already established. They didn't need to be inspired by punk. But pretty much everyone after 1980 that's a guitar-driven music. There is some I can make a video where I can link it to punk. I think in some way.
You're better at that than I am because you can recall more than I can recall. My memory is just not as sharp as yours is because you seem to be able to pick up and recall stuff super quick, which I'm envious of that. That's awesome. But
you're better on the instinct. You can analyze something like.
I'm really good at that. Yeah, I don't know how I got good at that. Probably just being in the wild my whole life. I've always been
that's a life skill that you just pick up analyzing situations and.
Dude, I go to work, man, and my people love me at my job because of that. At Alamo Draft House, shout out to Alamo Draft House, man. They love me because. Like, and I'm not talking about the bosses. I don't know what they really think about me because they don't really tell me. But the people I work around every day, I'm able to go in there and really just fix the situation, dude. It is an art. It is an art form that I don't know what to call it, mastered almost, because I can go up to any situation. I have yet to find a person that I can't calm down just by being able to relate to them and then making them laugh. That's what I'm able to do. I can, oh, what happened? Oh, that's awful. Yeah, I had this and this and this happen once. And then they're like, oh, yeah, see, so he knows. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, we don't make the rules, but this jackass over here does. And then you just basically just be on their team.
Well, as like a punk rock dude who's also 40, that's a unique perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like you're literally technically old enough to be a grandfather.
Yeah.
But you're cool enough to work at the brew house and record punk shows. So you have the youth perspective still with the maturity of a normal adult.
I do feel some kind of way about having to be able to work there because it is a cooler place, man. I mean, it isn't easy to get a job there, and it's not easy to keep one. And I do fit the aesthetic pretty well. That's one thing with my big boss. I know he likes that I'm up in the front because I look like an Alamo Draft House guy. You think Alamo Draft House, you're like, oh yeah, and I fit the bill. I'm like, right.
So a dude like me goes, oh, that's where that dude works. Yeah, I'd probably hang out over there. And then
exactly. It's exactly what it is. I mean, I have a lot of people that I've brought to that place, and they hang out there now because I work there. If I was to leave, I can imagine there would be some kind of financial consequence to that. Be it small or not, it would definitely impact them a little bit.
No, that's good. But, you have that effect, though. You contribute something other than all this other stuff you contribute as well, you know.
Yeah, I really do like that place, man. I really do. I'm about to be a lot further from there, and I'm going to try to stay working there, man. I don't want to work at a restaurant, dude. Like, I want to work there. Like, I want to be, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't need a lot of hours. 2-3 days a week. I'm pretty fine on that, man. How's the move, man? Are you set up now? Are you comfortable? And
so I think it took me about this whole time to move in, and now I spent the last 2 days getting settled in.
Yeah.
Because I've rearranged this living room like 6 times, and I'm not, you know, because you're like, oh, that doesn't really work. Oh, that doesn't really work. And then so I have bigger individual rooms, but smaller common space here. So for like recording equipment and that kind of stuff, it kind of sucks. Although I've been economical, and right now you can't see it, but I'm using a PA speaker as sort of an end table, and I'm trying to make that kind of the aesthetic of stuff like coffee shop / brewery / like record store is kind of, because it's kind of rustic in here, and my furniture I've got is kind of like almost like a Texas rustic style. So I'm like, how do I make that alternative? And I thought, okay, kind of like a coffee shop brewery vibe. So
is it just you there?
Me and the kids. Yeah.
Oh, you got the kids full time?
No. On a shared plan, but they're here. So they're here fairly frequently.
Okay. So there's not like an extra bedroom or anything, huh?
No, and that's what I lost with the other place. I had the room that's half my, one half was me and the other half was like storage for us. And then the room that I intended to use for a studio, the AC is right next to it. So it's just So that's why I'm kind of setting up a living room pop setup here.
It'll be all right, man. You'll get it figured out. I'm really happy you're getting settled in, man. I know it was stressful. I'm sure there's still plenty of stress coming your way, but the initial over that hump is pretty much done at this point.
Yeah, this is a big part of it, like just from a mechanical setup of how do I set something up? What is it going to sound like? Can I be comfortable and talk from this? You know, a lot of that stuff I couldn't do until I did something like this to really know.
Well, at this point, your hobbies are going to be a bigger part of your life because, you know, it's going to be probably like kids and then hobbies now because you're the next in line at this point. You can finally spend some time doing what you want to do and thinking of you.
Well, time has a different connotation to it now. Like, I have to devote more of it specifically to responsibilities, but it's more split. So when I have my responsibilities, I have them. And when I don't have them, I actually don't, like, for real, don't have them. So it's just an adjustment. Yeah.
Dude, last thing before I let us get off of here for today, I want to shout out to my wife, man. I'm very fortunate, man. I mean, especially knowing you right now, I feel for you, man. I care about you, dude. You're my friend at this point. And I just want to, my wife's awesome. And I'm getting, dude, I don't know if I told you, I probably did. She's giving me the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, I still can't really get over it because I'm so cramped in here. And she's like, no, there's a benefit for her. She's going to get benefit of this. But like, I'm so grateful because, man, this room, because everything that I own is basically in one room at this point. So I'm like, I need some space, especially since I'm the only one that like collects crap. Women don't really collect stuff like dudes.
No,
I've never met a woman
not for the sake of it.
Yeah. Like, I've never met a woman that had like a movie collection or record collection that could even hold a candle to what I do. And
I've never known a woman that bought something with the intention of not using it the way I do.
I've never met a woman that's like, I'm going to buy this rare record and put it on my wall.
Yes.
Whereas I'm like,
going to put it in a subtle spot where you can't see it because I can't have it out because you'll break it, but I have to have it.
That is exactly what record collectors do.
Right? It's the stupidest collection. At least if you collect cars, you can show someone your cars. But no, we like to collect vinyl that we don't want to show people, but we need to have.
All right. We're going to close on this right here. I'm going to show you the coolest and simultaneously stupidest thing that I've bought in a long time. All right. So, speaking about records that are expensive that you shouldn't buy because you're not going to play them, I also collect Flexies. and I bought 3 of the same one to not play because you can't play it without damaging it. And this is Cat Bite with Brian Fallon playing Yes It's True from the Slackers. And
oh wow,
it's the only way you could own it. And I was like, I have to own this because I love Cat Bite. Shout out to Cat Bite. They're going to be on the show pretty soon.
oh, nice.
And Brian Fallon is maybe my favorite singer-songwriter outside of Tim Armstrong. So I had to own this just because I thought it was so crazy. And then when I got it and it was actually like a 7-inch record, I was like pretty blown away because this is like really great. This is really great presentation.
It's a nice piece of art. Like on a
thumb. Have you ever played a Flexi before?
No.
Bro, they're weird, man, because you get like the quality of like a very used cassette.
Oh yeah. Talk about nostalgia.
Yeah, but it's like you can only
for the
play
way that the tape player's about to eat at any minute.
Dude, like so you get like a really mid quality, but it looks awesome, and you can only play it like 5 times before your record player destroys it. So like if you get them, they are collectible if you're into that kind of thing. So that I know that they only made, I think they said they only made like 500 of these, and they were like $10 each, bro. And I bought 3 of them. Because it didn't make sense to buy 1 and pay the shipping for 1. It made sense to buy 3 and get the same shipping. So if it becomes something that's valuable, I have an extra to sell at the shop or something. But if I want to play one, so this is my idea. This is what I thought about doing. Have one that stays in the collection, unused, doesn't get played. Have one that I package up nice to put on the wall at the shop for sale. And then have one that I'm going to play and make a video with it. I'm going to film it. Yeah, so I'm going to film the video. I'm going to film it, playing it, and then I'll talk about it a little bit and talk about the sound quality, whatever. But you'll get to hear the song a little bit, and because that would make sense for buying 3 for that reason. So if I didn't have that going, there was no reason to buy 3. So
yeah, but so if your determination on whether you can afford a vinyl or not is, can I afford that 3x on a lot of that collector stuff? Yeah, that makes sense.
On a lot of my vinyl that I have, and I haven't done a lot of it yet. I'm working on it. Once I get moved, I'll have more space and I can do it. I will be doing a lot of punk rock vinyl content because I'll have the space to film it. I didn't have the room to film it now. Like getting to film my record player is incredibly hard. So like I'm driving one trip all the way to that place. It's a 45-minute one-way trip to take my stereo, record player, tape deck, CD player, and speakers solely by themselves so they don't get damaged. I'm driving all the way out there. Like, yeah. Bro. You know the pains of this stuff.
I've been the guy in the back seat before that the job was to hold it in the flat, in the bed of the truck. Yes.
I'm going to probably pack up my SUV with my records and then my stereo. It's going to go by itself. And then I'll probably take like my TV and my collectibles by themselves. And then I'll be like, okay, throw everything else on the truck.
So my guitar amps and speakers are the only thing that are in this house that I moved into at the age of 36 that were from my home. Like when I left home, and it's funny how those things survive, but those are like the one remaining artifact, and they're still a pain in the ass to move. Like I haven't gotten stronger, or they haven't gotten lighter. All these moves.
Dude.
And they used to make good shit. Like my Line 6 amp is light. My old whatever this brand is of thing, you need like 4 guys with old back problems to move this thing.
Dude, I have a 75-inch television that I have to go buy a special box to move it because it's been on my wall for 3.
It's a piece of furniture.
It is, dude. It is, man. Well, shoot, bro. Likely a 7 to 14 day in between the next show because I got to get moved this weekend. I'm gonna be quick with my office though, at least to get to where I can film because I have to. I do this every day. I'm not gonna be able to be away from it for more than a few days. So likely midweek next week. You think you'll have some time?
Should, but
I'll just keep in touch. We'll figure it out.
And we'll be on a little bit of a rolling schedule, and then come like August, I think you and I both are just full on back into everything. So
that's gonna be awesome. I'm psyched, dude. Well, dude, man, I can't tell you how much fun I had talking to you. I'm glad to have you back, man. I need to jump on one of your lives or something with you and kind of contribute to your channel a little bit, man, because you've been helping me a lot.
But next week, I plan on kind of getting my channel like relaunched. Like these videos will be the first new things I've had up in a while, and then and go from there.
Do I need to send you the footage from the other one or no?
If you've got it loaded in your thing, send it to me because I got a lot of emails the last couple of weeks. So I wouldn't hate having that at the top of my email. If
I don't have it, I can get it back and send it. I'll send these 2 together.
Yeah, no problem.
Or in the same like email or 2. So cool, awesome, man. Well, we're out of here, guys. Thank you so much. We don't have a topic for the next show yet. We'll figure it out and I'll make a post about it. But at the end of the day, I think that No Use for a Name is a very important band that I didn't understand the importance of. I think that More Betterness is more better than I thought it was. I think that it's a great album. I don't think it's their best album, but I think it's a necessity. I think it's a necessary album is the word I was going to say. I tripped over my words. It's a necessary album, and I do believe it's one that I will go back to when times get tough. So, yeah, man. Yeah, good record, man. Good pick. I understand it more now, and I appreciate it because I wouldn't have gotten there without you. So.
I'm glad I had that sort of effect. That was what I want to do. I'm not here to convert you. It's more of like when I took an art appreciation class in college. It's like if you say you don't like it, I want you to say why you don't like it. Yeah, and that's exactly the goal of this style of podcast. So I think mission accomplished.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'll come up with some stuff to show you in the same vein. And yeah, man, there's a lot of good music out there. If you're still watching, go listen to the Trash Mags EP that I put up. It's Ryan. That's my dog right there. And that little 5-song EP is killer, dude. It's got like this crazy weird keyboard situation going on in it, and I love it. Have you ever heard the Murder City Devils before? Mm-hmm. It's like if the Murder City Devils were like an oi band, and it's incredible, man. So shout out to Ryan from Trash Mag. Shout out to Liberty and Justice, CMI, Empire Down, all these bands that have been talking with me. Jesse from Days and Days was just on. Dude, this channel is doing some great things, man, and I appreciate everybody that's involved. Rob, thank you. Shout out to Punk Ox. Go check out his channel. Follow them. Relaunch coming soon. If you need help with anything at all, man, you just reach out and let me know. I got you, bro.
Will do.
Hell yeah. Bye, guys.